sometimes we don't all play together. This next line is called How Do You Sound? Because they're all going to play together, and then you're going to hear just the brass, while the woodwinds have to count rest and the drummers. Then they all play together, and then the woodwinds are going to play. Then they all play together, and then the drums have their little solo, and then they finish it out together. So this is called How Do You Sound? For a loop, we're going to skip one of them. We're going to go right on to a number I like to call number 7. This one uses a new note. They're going to be moving between 3 notes, and then the next line will also be the same 3 notes in a different order. So they have to really keep their place reading off the staff. Okay, so they have to kind of keep their place. One of them they move in order, and the other one they jump around a little bit. This next one uses much of the same notes, but a new thing was introduced, and it looks like a little apostrophe in their music, but they know that it's not an apostrophe, it's a breath mark. So when they see that, everybody needs to take a breath. Even our bass player, although she's not blowing into the bass, I hope, she needs to kind of put that little break there too, so we all feel that space between the notes. So this one introduces the breath mark. At this point, we add another note, so they're up to 4 now. This will be adding the note of concert C, and they all know that the clarinets are actually playing their D, which sounds a C, the saxophone's playing a B, but they all get a new note. We got another one with just the breath marks. We're going to skip over that. We're going to go on to another new note. So now you're going to get one that they call 5 makes a team, and it's the beginning of the scale, the first 5 notes of the scale. I'm impressed. Okay, so that was all whole notes, and they all know that whole notes get, how many beats a whole note get? 4, she's right. Okay, and from this point, they learn the quarter note, and that gets 1 beat. They also had to learn to articulate, which means to tongue the notes, so instead of going, they have to actually to start. Except, of course, the drums, the bells, and the bass, we discourage that kind of behavior. Four quarter notes, we're going to add the whole note and the breath mark all into one. Now, when you heard all this stuff going on at home, did you think it was going to add up to this? Because I heard them in little 8 different groups of 11 to 18, and I didn't think it was going to add up to this myself. Yesterday was the first time we put it all together on this stage, and that first beat was, here we go, and then that came out, and it's like, okay, we're good. Okay, the next new thing they got is the fermata. And the fermata is a fancy Italian word for a hold. And they know now that when they see that, after I asked them how long you hold it, within 5 beats, 6 beats, 7 beats, somebody actually read in the book and said, until you cut us off. And I said, that's right. So they have to look up. They're going to hold it. I can hold it until they're turning blue if I want to. But they can't stop until I cut them off. So we're going to try that now. We'll do 2 different things with that. Okay, this next one, this is where it started to get complicated. I wasn't sure we were going to pull this one off, but they got it. And it's the first time they have a duet. There's 2 parts that are different. So we're going to have the woodwinds playing one part, the brass playing the other part. And it starts off going back and forth, and then they have their first experience where they're playing 2 different notes in harmony. And it sounded good yesterday, and I think we're going to do it now. So this is, what is it? It's called In Concert. It's a duet. We have a few more for you. This next one was the introduction of the half note. Half note, how many beats? Half note? 2, they got it. So they learned, they got the 4-beat note, they got the 1-beat note, now we're going to add 2 beats, and at the very end, we're going to bring them all together into one. Now we have some actual songs that you're going to recognize. And before we get to the big one for everybody, we had some people who really went home and practiced and looked ahead. They worked ahead, they were really kind of go-getters, and they kept coming up to me and said, I can play number 24, I can play number 37, and a few of them said that. I said, really? Play it for me. That wasn't one of them, by the way. That was an example of emptying spit the improper way. When you have to empty the horn, you want to put your lips around the mouthpiece so you don't go into the horn when you do it. So, in each class, there were several people who had these lines down. They played with me, they were very, very good. So we're going to try to have them stand up where they are and play it in some smaller groups. So this first one is line number 24, which is Merrily We Roll Along, otherwise known as Mary Had a Little Lamb.
Yeah.
The next one is the closest thing we have to something that's Christmas related at this point. There were a few we wanted to get to, but they're 2 months, so we can only do so much. But this is the beginning section of the Ode to Joy, and we're going to have our Ode to Joy people play now. So 37, people playing 37. A few less. This one is much farther into the book. Which brings us kind of to the end of our part of the program. So we're going to wrap this up with our perennial favorite. In this book, they call it Making Muffins, so they don't know exactly what it is the first time they play it, but you're going to recognize it as something else. We also call it line number 22.